What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video we are looking at 15 tips on how to be a social media influencer. Some of these have to do with the actual content creation, some of these have to do with sort of the more business side of things, but I looked at 6 different sites, all of which are linked below for you to read in depth. I have ordered them on my little list here in order of which ones appear the most across these 6 sites. So the top one is optimizing your platforms, or you basically using the right platform. Some of the sites say to, talk specifically about having different channels for different niches. But since this is my video, I'm going to be talking more about using the right platform, because I feel like there's certain content that does better on one platform than it does another. Stories, for instance, are one of these sorts of things, because you've got like a Snapchat story, it's an Instagram story, you can have a story on Facebook these days, YouTube has shorts, so you can, and then TikTok is essentially just that same sort of thing, sort of per video sort of thing. So it really sort of depends what niche you're going for, and if you've got multiple, like if you've got all of these platforms, what niche are you using on each of those platforms? They might all be related to lifestyle things, but one of them might be more focused on beauty and fashion, and one of them might be more focused on your nutrition and health and that sort of thing. But they all sort of come back to being a lifestyle thing. So yeah, it depends on what your platform is, and being able to optimize that to be able to generate the best audience for that, while also being able to sell your other platforms to that audience who may only be there for that particular content, and in that way optimizing your platforms. The second one I sort of touched on is picking a niche. This came up in 5 of the 6, and it was usually listed as the top one. So this is obviously a very important part. If you want to become an influencer, you need to know what niche you're going to talk about. I think I've done research in the past, and I think it's 20 quote-unquote genres on YouTube. Things like comedy, education, lifestyle, gaming, beauty, travel, all those sorts of things. There ended up being 20 different, like animation in and of itself is just a whole genre to itself. You could have an animation style channel that talks about lifestyle products, but it's still an animation channel, if that makes sense. So yeah, picking your niche, picking your genre, and some of them even mention making yourself an expert in that topic, so that all you're really doing on your channel is giving your opinion, so therefore an expert's opinion on the topic that they are an expert in my eye. So for me, Some of my channels are going to be learn with me while I learn these things. So for instance, next year my Instagram is going to become a cosplay thing. I'm still a baby cosplayer, so I'm going to be learning how to make armor and all that sort of stuff myself. And obviously I will share what I learn and tips and tricks that I pick up and that sort of thing on that, while also sharing the finished products and that sort of thing. So you might decide to stylize yourself that way, and then it becomes sort of a journey, and that makes one of the next ones a little bit easier, one of the next points a bit easier. But then you might also just be I've been doing this my whole life, this is how you do this thing, and I know everything about this. And then it's more sort of an educational thing, which makes the last point of this video particularly essential if that's the way you're going. The third tip or trick was to develop a content calendar, and basically to have a schedule. I myself watched a video today where the person who was talking about this very same subject said that they didn't like the phrasing "be consistent," which is how you'll see this worded in pretty much all of the articles it shows up in. I didn't like that wording because you could be consistently bad, even if you are consistently uploading. And people want to see good, entertaining stuff. It doesn't mean how often you upload, which I think might be my problem. I get the occasional one that gets, a couple of views because it touches on a very popular topic, or maybe the title or the thumbnail or whatever is a little bit clickbaity or whatever it might be. But maybe my delivery needs work, which hopefully next year I will be able to improve greatly. But having a content calendar so that you know when you're going to upload things, it also makes, one of the points is posting relevant content. It makes that a lot easier, because if you're having a particular holiday, or if it's around, like at the moment we're coming into Christmas, so obviously you're going to want to start posting Christmas content in December. That's not the time to, unless your niche is looking at the supernatural and horror things. Silence phone. That's not the time to be talking about creepy stuff. That would have been in October, when Halloween was going to be the big holiday. Here in Australia, posting the summertime content in December, January, February makes sense, but it doesn't make so much sense for people living in the States, for instance. The rest of the world, really, but because they're having winter at that time. And so it's really coming down to knowing who your audience is and being able to address them, so that you're able to post that relevant content. You're able to do it in such a way that it keeps to whatever your upload schedule, content calendar sort of dictates. If you want to upload twice a week, that would be your content calendar, and you would have whatever days you've picked, or however often you've picked. So you might decide you're only going to post on specific days on a particular platform, or it might be you're going to post every 3 or 4 days, or whatever it might be, and yeah, that ends up, because of, in that sense, the consistency, people are going to know when you're uploading. They're not going to, and they're going to be able to keep coming back because they'll know when the next content goes up. It's the same way as, like, for instance, the Disney Plus shows, like the Star Wars ones and the Marvel ones in particular. When they're on, they upload an episode each week on a specific day. So people who are fans of that particular property know to go back on that particular day to watch the new episode. And it's the same thing for your content. The uploading there is really no different to that. It's just a different platform, and it's just whatever the niche and the topic you're talking about is. The fourth one is engaging your audience, which is simply things like responding to comments. If you consistently see questions coming up, answering those questions. It might even be a case of you make an entire post on whatever platform is relevant for that question, addressing that, and yeah, really just making your audience feel like they're part of the content itself. Because if you can make people feel like they are a part of it, they're more likely to come back. The next one is more of a businessy one, and that's making it easy for brands to contact you. So for me, all of my social media is going to be connected to one email address, even though the names on the different platforms are going to be different. They're all connected to one email address. So if and when brands decide to want to work with me, it's that one email address that I need to look at for that stuff. The next one is defining your audience, which makes a bit of sense. Are you making content designed for children? Are you making content that's more of an adult audience that you're aiming at? Is your content educational, and therefore you're wanting to make it specifically for people in a particular wanting to work in a particular industry? What kinds of people are you trying to reach with your content? Why are you trying to reach them? Essentially, you need to look at the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how in regards to your audience and your content. Like, who is your audience? Where are they? Why would they care to watch it? How are they going to interact with it, and what platforms is it on? All that sort of stuff. So you define your audience. Number 7 is collaborate with other influencers and social media personalities. By doing that, you essentially introduce yourself to an already established audience, and if your content and the person you're collaborating with have similar content and are equally as engaging, then you are likely to get new followers, new subscribers, new fans from that collaboration. And that collaboration might be a particular post or content on your platform, their platform, or both. It might be a thing that you actually make and sell, like merch. But collaborating with other influencers is a good way to get your name out there and to grow your platforms. Posting relevant content, I've already touched on. Posting during the holidays, specifically holiday stuff, makes sense. You're not going to talk about Christmas in the middle of July. and like likewise, you're not really going to talk about Halloween in the middle of February. You know, like February's mainly Valentine's Day, so you're gonna want to look more at like relationships and lovey-dovey stuff if that's what you're like, if you can fit that into your niche and your aesthetic. That's sort of the month to look at that sort of stuff. And then your more scary stuff in October, and then your family-oriented holiday stuff in December. And it's really not that hard. Each month essentially has its own holiday. At least in Australia, you can sort of average it out. So for instance, in Australia, May is the month that has Mother's Day in it. So you might want to make that about, you know, that whole month might be about, you know, your mum. So if you're doing a story time video, you might talk about a particular experience you had with your mother. If you have a cooking channel, you might talk about your mum's favorite recipe, or a recipe that your mum gave you, that you are really fond of and have, you know, nostalgic memories of, or whatever it might be. But you can keep it to, if you can sort of market it to the theme, and make it relevant to other people, and that's kind of cool. And it will help to engage your audience as well in your content, outside of you interacting with them outside of the content. Number 10 is to strategically generate traffic. I'm going to be completely honest, I obviously am not the person to talk to about generating traffic. I have 14 subscribers, and most of my videos get no views. So I'm not the person to talk to about generating traffic. So I'm just going to try and find where the generate traffic came from. Where is it? Now I can't find which site it was on. But basically you're going to want to have some sort of strategy in place, maybe understanding how algorithms work on different sites will help you. So if you ultimately want to be, and this was the video I was looking at, was talking specifically about how to stream on Twitch and how to have an audience there. And the main piece of advice was, don't start that particular journey by just streaming there. Have other social media platforms generate a bit of an audience there that has something to do with what you want to do over here, and then slowly but surely move them, you know, try and get them over to there, so that when you start over there, you've already got an audience and people are already going to be engaging with you. But having a strategy in place to generate traffic to your content, and therefore to establish an audience. So basically it's starting small, and as you get bigger, you can branch out into other things. Which is obviously a piece of advice I'm not going to be taking, because I'm just going for it next year. I'm going to just see what happens. wholly and solely giving myself over to the mercy of the universe next year. So it's a gamble, but I'm going to take it. Number 11 is wholly and solely just answering FAQs. Interacting with your audience is fine, and I know I mentioned answering FAQs in that, but it is important that you answer the questions that are being frequently asked of you. Not only so that for you personally, people stop asking that question, because I'm sure that can get annoying, but also so that your audience feels like you do actually listen to them, you do actually care about what they're interested in, and especially if it's like a personal question, it shows you that your audience is interested in getting to know you, the person behind the content, because and answering those questions is going to make them feel like they can know you a little bit more personally, and sort of establish that weird sort of one-way friendship thing. So answering the FAQs is a good one. Number 12 is have something that you advocate for. Basically, have something that you stand up for, and that you are not afraid to speak out about. Having the courage to put your face and your brand essentially on the line for something that you believe in strongly is going to show people that you do genuinely care, because if you know it all fails for some people that are doing really well as influencers already, if their beliefs and what they're standing up for come crashing down around them, that's potentially their entire livelihood gone. So it shows your audience that you're willing to stand up for this thing with everything that you have, and that's going to rally people behind you as well. So have something that you advocate for, that you stand up for, that you believe strongly in. Don't be afraid to put everything you have behind that idea, and obviously actually advocate for it. Don't just say, oh, I advocate for this, and then not do anything about it. I've repeatedly said on this channel that I advocate for mental health, and I've done various mental health tests myself. I have a psychologist that I currently see. I'm gonna have to try and find a new one if I have to move to Sydney, so that's gonna be a whole heap of fun. And you know, like, I've done a bunch of different charity things this year where I've donated or made up my own account for various charity events around mental health. So yeah. Number 13 is to create goals. Where do you ultimately want to be, and what do you ultimately want to be doing, and then break that down into steps. Break those steps into steps until you are able to just find a thing that you can do, and then slowly just be doing that until you reach a minor goal, till you reach the next goal, and just take it step by step. But create goals, and obviously sharing those goals with your audience lets your audience know that, you know, if you get to a certain number of subscribers, you're going to start doing a particular thing that they've been asking for, because then they're more likely to try and get their friends to subscribe to you so that they can get that content from you. So create goals, share the goals with your audience, because that can help, especially if your goal is around, you know, the numbers of things, which isn't the be all and end all of everything, but if that is your goal, you do you. Number 14 is to use hashtags. This is particularly for, like, I would say, personally, this is for Twitter and Instagram. If you are like me and still use Tumblr, you're gonna want to have your tags or notes or whatever. It's essentially the same thing. Having keywords in your searches, like in your title, having keywords in your YouTube titles makes it easy to search them. Basically, the bottom line of this particular point is make it so that your videos show up when people search the more popular things that people search for, which also means obviously doing some research into what those popular things are. If you're able to fit a particular hashtag into your niche and make it sort of relevant to what you produce, obviously the more popular the hashtag, the easier it's going to be to, or the easier it may be for your content to be found through that hashtag. And then the last one, which isn't actually on any of the sites, and simply comes from the video I myself watched, which it will also be linked below, is to be entertaining. Which I get that I'm probably not a whole bunch of entertainment just sitting here talking to you guys. But yeah, be entertaining, and like try and hold people's attention, because if your content is not what they're there for, your personality is, which is why 90% of influencers are extroverts, which is where FOMO comes from, essentially. All of the introverts who are the fans feeling like they're missing out on those things because those people are extroverts, which is why I think maybe subconsciously why I've tried to have the whole I'm kind of an introvert too, let's just hang out together sort of vibe. Maybe I'm just not making the right type of content though. I don't know. Like I said, I do have my big plan for next year with basically every different type of social media I could think of, trying to see what it is that people actually want to see, what am I good at producing, what do I enjoy producing. I'm trying to, being completely honest, next year's all about actually finding my niche. So we live, we learn, we grow, and I hope that you guys will grow with me. So if you are new here, hello, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. Also ring that notification bell, turns on the post notifications so you can be kept up to date when I upload new videos. Once again, links in the description to all 6 of the sites that I used to compile this list, as well as the video that I myself watched on the same topic. It was specifically talking about Twitch streaming, as I mentioned, but it will be listed below as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Which of those particular points do you think is my biggest flaw? Like, where do you think I have the most room for improvement out of those 15 points? Let me know in the comment section down below. Be nice though. I'm open to constructive criticism, but flat out just insult will not be tolerated. But let me know in the comments, and until next time guys, keep your head screwed on.